Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2025 Wildwood 42Fldl. We're just going to start off the back unit. If you notice up on the right, you are pre-mounted for a collapsible Lippert stair system. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact our parts department. It's a great little addition if you want to get up and check all your seals and everything on the roof, making sure everything's all good. Got your cable satellites in the back here in case you were to have any of that to plug in. And then coming around the passenger side of the unit, you got your stabilizer jack. This is the first of 4. You do have one in each corner of the unit. They work pretty simple. You're hooking up the 3/4 inch drive tool, which is located inside this compartment, which I'll show you in a second. You're just gonna run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot contacts the ground, just giving another 1/8 turn, snug it up. It's gonna take any bouncer sway you see we have in the unit right now away. Additional note to that, it is a stabilizing jack. It is not a leveling jack. Please do not try to use it as a leveling jack, as you do run the risk of bending it, and the same goes if you're using an impact to run them up or down. Just being mindful of how much torque you put on them. Then up in here, this compartment is accessible from the inside to the master bedroom. Lift up the foot of the bed, you get access inside there. You got inside that box, the one box, you got all your vacuum supplies. In the other box, you got some sink accessories, which I'll go over once we get inside. 3/4 inch drive tool for those stabilizer jacks. It is just a 3/4 inch socket, so if you had your own, you could use that. And then we do include this standard starter kit. You got your 15-foot water hose, 10-foot sewer hose, and some other miscellaneous goodies, including a 15-amp park adapter, which I'll go over in a second once we get over to the power supply. Whenever you're piling things into this compartment, just be mindful of all the wiring and everything. And of course, this ram, whenever you're using your versatile bed, this is moving up and down, so you want to make sure that that is free and clear of anything. Coming to our left, you got your main power cord inlet. Taking and pulling that out, you got that silver strip here. It lines up with this silver strip on this side. Pushing that firmly into place, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do come to your standard 50-amp plug end. Now, a lot of campsites may not have 50-amp service, so we do include this 30-amp dog bone adapter. Just keep it in mind, when you're going down to 30 amps of power, you really this only can run one air conditioner at a time. This unit is equipped with 2, so just keeping that in mind. If you're going down to 30 amps of power, you're only gonna be able to run that one air conditioner at a time, just due to the power issue. And whenever you plug that guy in, you get the 2 blue lights on the top telling you have a successful power source. If the red lights were to be on, it's just letting you know that your source of power is bad and it's not an issue with the trailer. And then there's that 15-amp park adapter to go down from 30, but with a trailer of this size, you're always going to want to make sure that you're at least on a 30 when trying to run any air conditioners. If you're on a 15 with a trailer of this size, it's just to run your lights and charge up your battery. Back here, you're going to notice a second little drain exit. Taking and twisting that cap off, because this unit is equipped with a washer-dryer combo. Whenever you're using your washer, very important you always take this cap off, and leaving it off whenever you're using it. Failure to do so is going to allow water to back up to the inside of the unit. So locking that into place whenever you're done, that way you don't have any critters or anything climbing inside there. Got your service port for your hot water heater, pushing and pulling that open. You got your power switch in the far right, turning that on, supplies power to the thermostat inside. And then you got your pressure relief valve. So I'm going to go over that real quick. If you've had a camper before, you probably had a tanked water heater, which would have had bypass valves behind it, which you would have had to turn because you don't want antifreeze going into it. This system is the complete opposite. It's a tankless system. It's just got coils wrapped around inside there that water runs through, and there's a big heat source inside the middle. So whenever it comes time to winterization, you're just running antifreeze through it as you typically would. There shouldn't be any bypass valves behind it, and if there is, you don't touch them. And of course, once you're done winterizing completely, cracking this pressure relief valve and leaving it cracked open for the duration of winter. That way, when that antifreeze does gel up during those cold winter months here in Manitoba, it has a place to go instead of cracking inside the copper. Down from there, you got your second sewer exit. This is your main sewer exit. You got these 2 ears, the same ears your sewer hose has, clipping, locking these guys into place. This is going to be for your gray tank and your black tank. You're always going to want to empty the black tank first. This is going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. Then you can come behind that with your gray tank, which is typically cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Because this is the gray, this is emptying the bathroom, shower, and sink. You got your city water connection, so if you're at a site with service, thread a garden hose in there, turn it on, pressurizes all those lines without the needing to run your water pump. One up from there, you got your fresh water connection, so if you're out boondocking or your campsite doesn't have water, put a garden hose in there, fill it up, and that's what fills your fresh tank. And because of this unit size, I'm assuming you're going to be going to a seasonal site. So let's say you go out pre-water time at your campground, you could just siphon in some water into here if you wanted to get through the weekend. Just keep it in mind when you're getting down to freezing temperatures, you'd have to re-winterize the unit after using it. Next is your black tank flush. The way that works is if you're getting false monitor panel readings inside, or you're just noticing an odor around the unit, this is a good way to flush that tank out. Just always keep it in mind of reading that caution sticker whenever you're using it. You do have to have your black tank open and the sewer hose connected. Reason being, if you're pushing pressure inside the tank and the pressure's got nowhere to go, it's going to expand that tank to the point of cracking. Right down below the floor, in the back behind this big beam is the fresh tank drain. Pulling that guy open, it's going to allow all that water to drain out. And then right in front of the tire, you got two valves that come below the floor. Twisting those guys open, those are your low point drains, so it's going to try and drain as much water out of the unit as possible. Furnace exhaust, whenever that's running, it's going to be blowing out hot air. You got one last sewer exit right here. That is for your galley. It's going to be for your kitchen sink. That's where you're going to empty that. I recommend doing that one last. Again, typically going to be a little cleaner water. Got your stabilizer jack in the front. Looks the same way as the one in the back. Coming around the front of the unit, you got your battery box right up front, and that's where we house that battery. Got your two propane tanks on the top here. Typically, you get everything you need done just by lifting off these two tabs and opening it up. But for the purpose of the video, I'll pull it out. You got two tanks on either side, like any standard barbecue. You got this selector valve on the front of your regulator here. With it pointed this way, you're obviously going to be drawing off this tank. If this tank were to go dry, turn it off, disconnect it. You can switch this over to this side and start running off that tank. Counterclockwise, like any standard barbecue, nice and slow to open up the flow of propane. Now coming around the driver's side. So this is probably where you're going to be your main entry doorway. It's the patio door set. I have it locked, so we're not going to be entering through there today. Take that assist handle, push it up, folding it 90 degrees. It's going to lock itself into place. And then you can just pull down your stairs. Got a couple plugins outside here in case you had anything you needed to plug in, and of course, cable satellite outlet. Now for the best part, to get inside, just taking those stairs, pulling the doors, they're going to lock into place. That'll allow you to fold that last stair down. Then you can open up the door. This is going to be the bedroom entrance for the unit. Stepping on inside. Light switch for inside the bedroom is on the wall here. This is going to be the thermostat for your rear air conditioner. This only controls the rear air conditioner. I'm going to go up to the main thermostat inside and go over that. It does work the same way as this one, just helps save some time. This light switch here turns on an orange porch light outside the door. Then you got your versatile bed control, which I've already explained to you. Next, you got your cable satellite outlets. Pushing that green button on turns the antenna on the roof. It also improves radio frequency and cell phone frequency. So whenever you get to your campsite, I recommend leaving it on. And then whenever you're done, turning it off because it does draw battery power whenever you're gone. Before we go over the rest of the bedroom, I'm just going to take you over to the front here where you're going to get access to your main. This switch here turns on some accent lightings above the kitchen. Got your slide out control. Before you're ever running your slide outs, always making sure you know what's on either side of the slide, inside and out. The reason I say that is things do tend to shift in here sometimes whenever traveling. So always making sure you're mindful of that. And then of course on the outside, making sure you have enough space to fully put those slides out so you're not running them into anything, causing any damage. And all the slides work on the same switch. It's a hydraulic system, so it's going to push the heaviest slide out last. I'd start with the two lighter slide outs. And once they are fully extended, you're going to hear the motors wind up. And then you can just let off that button. Typically it is that kitchen side that does go out last. You heard the motors wind up, so you know you're fully extended. Now a good way to double check that you are fully extended is just ensuring that you got a good seal here on all the slide outs. So you're sealing out the water from inside the unit. Now we are just gonna go back into the bedroom and finish it off in there. So up front, you got your little drawer area for nice little clothes storage. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. One quick pull will allow them to track back up. Right down here, you got your main fuse and breaker panel. If you ever have a breaker trip, it's gonna sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. You got all your corresponding fuses on the right. There'll be a little red indicator light if one does pop. You got your bed, like I said earlier, picking up the foot of the bed. It does give you access to inside there. You got a little shoe spot here. You got plugins on the one side of the bed there. Next, coming over to your little wardrobe area, popping open these guys. You got 2 water valves here. That is for the washer dryer combo. Whenever you're summerizing the unit, always making sure you turn these guys on. And I always recommend running a quick cycle just to allow that antifreeze out before you go to use it and run any clothes through there, especially any whites, because the antifreeze is usually pink. Next, you're gonna notice antifreeze inlet. Pulling this drawer, you got tabs on either side. You're pulling them opposite ways of each other. It would allow this drawer to pop right out of its place, and then you could follow that bypass hose back to your bypass valve, and that's where your water pump is located, deep back, buried back there. Washer dryer combo, pretty much just like home. Not much I need to tell you there, other than whenever you're running the washer, again, just making sure that you do have that cap open so you're allowing the water to drain. Coming up into here, before we get up into the bunk space, go over your main little system here. So you got your water pump switch, turning that on, draws out of your fresh tank. You got your corresponding tanks up top. Whenever you push the button, it tells you the corresponding level. You do have a black one and then a gray and a galley. Got awning LED switches, so awning LED strip light switch, and then you got some accent lighting throughout. That turns on with that. Your main light switch is right here. It's on a dimmer, so you can dim it if you want. Slide out switch I've already told you about, and then of course you got your awning switch. Pushing and holding that out button, the awning's gonna start making its way out. Once fully extended, you're gonna see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. Unfortunately today, the unit is much too large for me to get this awning all the way out, so I'm just gonna get it out enough so I can show you on the outside. You're probably gonna need a step ladder to do this, as I'm pretty tall and I can barely reach it. You can take any arm, front or rear, and pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to run off. Now if you like that angle better because it allows for more shade underneath, you can do the same thing with the front arm, just making sure you do push them back to straight before you try bringing the awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. It's usually a lot easier to bend them, it's just because it's not fully out yet. And then to bring the awning in, as simple as holding the awning in button. Awning's going to start rolling its way in, and once it contacts the side of the trailer, the motor's automatically cut out. Whenever you have your awning out, always keep an eye on wind speed. It doesn't take much to rip your fabric or bend your arms. You hear the motor cut out and let off the button. Next, we do have your bunk spaces up top. Pretty simple. You got bunk spaces on either side, really. There's just lights and stuff up there. And then if you walk all the way up, you got switches on either side. Your rear air conditioner is located right there. Typically, with the older style air conditioners, there's louvers that you can open up and divert the airflow. These ones are glued shut, so don't try and open them. This is equipped with what's called a high flow air conditioner, so it pumps the same amount of air through the vents as it would opening up that. Bunk space on the other side, again, just storage space, bed space. Great for the kids. The kids do love it. Coming up on the wall here, you got this household style switch. Turns on that fan in the living area. Light switch, you've seen turn on those accent lights above the kitchenette. And then you got your thermostat. So if you push the button once, it illuminates itself. Pushing it again will get you into the mode. Before we go into mode, we'll go over to fan. So you can move air around using the air conditioner with no heating or cooling involved, just by going over to that fan option, turning on either high or low. Back into the modes, go over to the cool, hit enter. Now you're gonna notice it says high. So whenever the auto is on, it's an on-demand system. So if the room temperature is 23 and it's set to 17, once it reaches 17 inside, it's gonna automatically cut out the air conditioner. If you have the no auto and you have it on just high or low, the air conditioner does run full time regardless, so keep that in mind. One more time, I'll bring you into heat, so that'll kill the air conditioner and fire up the furnace. The furnace does run off propane, and it moves all its air through the 4 portals you have throughout, and it only has 1 fan speed. And then nice little feature Coleman included with their air conditioners. You got cool plus heat option. So depending on what you have the room set to, it's gonna either kill the air conditioner and fire up the furnace, or kill the furnace and fire up the air conditioner. And then you do have a dry mode, which is just to try and take as much humidity out of the air as possible using the air conditioner. Cycle it back to off, turns everything back off. Right down below, because this unit's equipped with propane, you got your LP detector. Propane's heavier than air. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just open up the main supply of propane at the front of the unit and open up some windows and vents just to get some fresh oxygen inside. It's also very sensitive to cleaning chemicals, so if you're going to be cleaning around it and you sprayed any sort of chemicals, use your best judgment, but typically it could just be that. Next, we will step into the bathroom. Light switch on the far right. Flusher on the left. Shower, pretty much just like home, not much I'm going to show you there. Beautiful little sink space. And then on the wall, you got your main GFI plug. You got reset in the middle, test on the bottom. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I would look. And then on the other wall here, you're gonna notice you got your vent lid. So you do have a vent up top there. It's probably gonna be hard to see because it gets way up there. To operate it, you do first have to turn the fan on before you can open up or close the vent. Then you can hold the open button. The vent lid's gonna start opening itself up. And even though I know you can't see it, you're gonna notice you open up straight into the atmosphere. So if it were to start raining, it's for sure gonna get wet inside here. So we do sell max air covers here at the shop. To cover it, it goes over top of that vent lid. It's gonna allow you to leave that on whenever it's raining. It's not gonna get wet inside here. It's a great little addition you can get set up with by contacting our parts department. Again, the fan has to be on for you to operate the lid. Next, you got your thermostat for your hot water heater, up or down at any time to change your set temperature. If you throw it below 50, let it set. As an added safety feature, you're locked to 50 degrees. Just so kids can't scold their hands, if you want to unlock it and go up another 5 degrees, you could do so just by holding the up button for about 5 seconds. It's going to let you get up to 55. You can change it between Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. Power button to turn it back off. Now let's get into the living space. Of course, patio door on your right. You notice we got that little wood block in there. Just a little addition to the lock, just so the door can't open during travel. Storage space all around. You got your residential style fridge. There's not much I need to go over there for you. Next, you got this really sweet sink. You got a whole bunch of accessories underneath the bed, which I've already told you about. There's some vegetable trays and all kinds of other things you can play with. This little power thing, it is to operate this. So you stick that guy inside there like so. If you turn it one way, it opens it. Turn it the other way, it closes it. Little cool thing. The tap is right here. Obviously, you got the blue and then the hot, the red. The red's gonna be hot, blue's gonna be cold. Turning it to the right like so operates the faucet head, and turning it to the left operates your little vegetable sprayer. And then you do have a cup sprayer on the left. Being very careful with it. If you push it down without a cup on it, it'll shoot water right to the roof. So just be careful with that. You got a little soap dispenser as well. The fill for it is just right down below. You kind of got to reach your arm back there and unscrew it, but it's just like any other thread. Counterclockwise to loosen it, which is lefty-loosey, righty-tighty to tighten it up. Inside here, little garbage disposal Wildwood decided to throw in. Nice little feature, I thought. Next, got your counter space and your Convection oven. Built into the convection oven is your range hood. I always recommend running that range whenever you're using your stove. Just helps evacuate some of those propane fumes. It's got high and low fan, and then you do have a light as well built in there. Other than that, pretty standard. You can turn the turntable on and off, which I also thought was a little cool. Next, you got your stove running those oven lights and the panel lights separately. I'm gonna go over now, whenever you turn your propane system off, it allows air into the system. So when you go to turn it on again, getting to your unit, first thing I recommend firing up is just your stove. The reason I say that, it's the easiest way to purge all the air out of that propane line, because if you were to go to fire up your furnace or your water heater, those do only try lighting themselves a few times before they throw a fault code, which could throw a little twist into your weekend. So I always recommend firing this up. It's just a guaranteed way to purge all the air out of the lines. You're just holding it over to that high/light option, and it does fire up. I know it did fire up pretty quickly today. I had the propane system running earlier, so that's why it did that. Typically, it can take a few seconds. Always making sure that you're running the igniter whenever you have the gas valve on, so you don't get any buildup of fumes. But be patient with it, because like I said, sometimes it can take a few minutes, especially when it comes time to lighting the oven. Folding that guy down, your oven switch is right in the middle. Turning it over to that pilot option, pushing and holding that igniter in. If you look through the grate here, you'll eventually see that pilot light up. The oven takes exceptionally long. Like I said, if there's air in there, once the pilot can light and hold its own, you can turn it up to your desired temperature, and it does fire right on up. Next, you do have your entertainment center stereo right down below. You got A, B, and C speakers, which is pretty much the only thing I have to go over for that. You got A, which is going to be these front set of speakers, B, which is going to be the rear set of speakers, and then C, which is your exterior speakers, JBL system, which is pretty sweet. You got your fireplace down below, power button on the far right. The one next to that does change your different flame colors. Right in the middle, you got your different rock light colors. Two in from the left. You got your heat option. Pushing it once just puts it on 0, pushing it again gets you on the low heat. One more time will get you onto high heat. Then you got a timer that goes anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. And then you can turn that back off again. And little pantry space hidden behind there. Just of course being mindful of all your wiring and everything. It goes for storage throughout the whole unit. If you see any water lines or drains, just always being mindful of them. Same goes for wiring. Next, if you have more guests than what your top room there holds, you can pull these cushions off, set them off to the side, grab your foot of your couch, pick up and pull towards you. That'll fold out like so, and then you can take your feet, fold them on down, drop that down. The back of the couch would then fold down, and you have yourself another bed for any more guests you were to have. Get it back in. Pretty simple. It's just the total opposite. And then taking your back cushions back into the place. Lots of accent lighting all throughout this unit, and you're going to discover that most of them are on their own center switches. Two recliner chairs, quite nice. You got a little storage space in the center here. Like I said, all the blinds in the unit kind of sit where you leave them. When one quick pull down allows them to sit where you leave them. One quick pull will allow them to retract back up. You got your two chairs here. Noticing they are travel straps, so whenever you're moving, always making sure you have the travel straps on. That way they're not shifting around, causing any damage. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.